Welcome back, Arbor League, and today we are taking a look at a very underrated and overlooked pick in Master League Premier Cup, Poliwrath. Its typing has great coverage over dragon protection backlines, and with the addition of Icy Wind is great on the safe swap for shield pressure on those dragons and the attack debuff. So like and subscribe and turn notifications on, and let's take a look at Poliwrath in the Master League Premier Cup. And we are using the trusty True Blue squad today, Metagross Double Water. We got a team rating of CADA. It's been working pretty well for me. It's got me up into the 2300s. Kind of weak to Gyarados or Primarina on the lead, but not if they have Dragon Breath or Charm. But on this lead, we have Ursaluna. Now that's not as bad a match as you think it is. As you can see, we resist the tackle and outpace the Meteor Mash. We try to catch a high horsepower on Swampert, but they respond with Annihilate. This is kind of bad news bears, right? Or bad news apes as we have it, because Annihilate beats our entire team. But we're happy to see it here on Swampert because we want to chip this away as much as possible. We get the final shield. I guess they respect an Earthquake. So we can shield this Night Slash up as well. They're not getting the boost yet, so it's pretty good for us. No need to go for the Earthquake either. Hydro Cannon is also stab, and plus we get to multiple of them. We just need to get this Annihilate down into a manageable farm down range for Metagross. I know we're probably going to go down here and not make that third Hydro Cannon, but they throw, which is pretty good for us. So Swampy has done its job. We can let him go, come back in with Metagross, and farm down. It's not going to make that Night Slash, I don't think. So they swap, and we simul swap, and we could have stayed, but it's totally okay, because this Hisuian Avalanche has nowhere to go. The counters are 4 times super effective, and we resist being the water and fighting type all the ice and rock types. On the downside, our attack is getting dropped more and more by the minute because of the icy winds, but we don't have to shield the thing. We can farm this thing all the way down and come out with 100 energy. And I misclicked the Hydro Pump as well. I was anticipating that Ursaluna coming back in, but the opponent read us like a book and made us waste a bunch of energy. But they come in and throw too, so it's probably going to be the Thunder Punch, but they full send the high horsepower and waste a bunch of energy as well. So now we've got a shield on this Ursaluna, and this is looking like a good game. We can just shield up the potential high horsepower here. This Meteor Mash is not going to KO, but it will put it into, again, Bullet Punch farm down range. Shielding up the potential high horsepower, but the opponent only made the resisted Ice Punch. We farmed down, and Metagross closing strong. Poliwrath is a pretty sneaky pick. He beats a lot of steel backlines due to the water type resistance. Great for countering things like Excadrill or Metagross, even normal types like Snorlax and Ursaluna like we just saw, even some ground types like Rhyperior, Hippowdon, or Swampert. It even hard walls Tyranitar and both Avalogs like we just saw, and despite the typing, it has a fighting chance, excuse the pun, against Gyarados. The typical moveset is resisted, but Poly is bulky enough to take the non-stab Dragon Breaths. I also think having a debuff move on the safe swap is pretty nice, as it makes a farm down for a Pokemon coming back in a bit safer. Also, despite the rating on pvpoke, swapping in ahead on energy allows you to outpace to the Icy Wind too, at least getting a debuff or a shield or both. It's also super effective to the Dragons and the Flyers, especially a very popular team going around right now with the backline of Garchomp and Togekiss. You just have to keep it away from Charmers, especially Primarina, Golisopod, and Annihilate. So we're getting off the Hydro Cannon on this Tyranitar because all 3 of our Pokemon beat it, so switch isn't that important here. We're going to be able to take out the Tyranitar and still have a shield for the Togekiss coming back in and reach another Hydro Cannon. Swampert is still pretty spammy, especially in the Master League. I guess they're shielding the potential Sludge Wave. Because pvpoke does recommend Sludge Wave, and I mean, you could go with either or here. I think either works pretty well. At least with Sludge Wave, you have a fighting chance against Florges or Togekiss on the safe swap. I mean, Hydro Cannon is stab too, so that works as well. But see here, as we have Icy Wind on the safe swap, we're able to debuff where the Charms don't do less, and I think I may have gotten farmed down if I didn't throw that Icy Wind. However, we get to take out the Togekiss with the Meteor Mash. As I was mentioning earlier, problems for this specific team are Gators, Goalies, Garchomps, and Gary. We're weak to the G's, we're weak in the knees. Never mind, I'll stop rapping, I'll save that part for the Black Luffy. But that's the funny part with Metagross, is that Dragon Tail, Garchomp, and Dragon Breath Gary are actually not terrible leads. You do resist the Dragon typing, so you can get a Meteor Mash off and swap to catch a move on one of the other Pokemon in the back. Metagross does win CMP on Gary, so you can use a shield there if you want. Crunch doesn't KO, but it's super effective and it does hurt, so maybe consider catching on Poly in that instance. The typing will make him stay in, so Swampert doesn't have to see it. And then with Garchomp, you will outpace to 1 Meteor Mash. You might have to take a Sand Tomb, but then again, you can catch on Poly or Swamp to bait out the Togekiss or the Fairy. So we're probably catching a resisted Crunch here. Doesn't matter if it's Aqua Tail either. Not a lot of Garys running Outrage these days either. So we encounter Garchomp on the lead, and again, we outpace to the Icy Wind by swapping in first. So here it does about 40% of Garchomp's health, so it's still kind of helpful. We're not going to make that next Ice Punch, so even if this is a Sand Tomb, we survive, but one more Dragon Tail takes us out. But they're massively debuffed here, so we can safely come in with Swampert. I don't want to come in with Metagross here, because they got some extra energy, and at the risk of them having Earth Power. So I'm still okay with a pretty healthy Swampert here, and a debuffed Earth Power coming through. Good thing we didn't send in Metagross. So we will have to get this Metagross here as soon as possible. So just going to go ahead and throw the Hydro Cannon and get it out of here and see what they have in the back. They bring back the Gary, and yeah, in this instance, I mean, he is in Hydro Cannon range, but Sludge Wave does kind of help in this instance. So they do decide to shield, but we've got a Meteor Mash ready to go, and this is looking pretty dicey because we still haven't seen their third. Taking out the Gary, and what is in the back? Just a Mamoswine. So he needs 2 moves to take us out. Can we get there? Yes, we can. He needs 1 Avalanche for the Swampert and 1 for the Metagross, but we outpace. This one-shots from full health, and Metagross closing strong again. Continuing on with the commentary here in the next couple battles, we got a positive lead up against Dragonite. Now, Superpower is neutral because of Metagross part Psychic type, so it does about 40% damage. We're encountering a little bit of lag trying to catch something here, but the opponent stays in, which is not good because now they've got back-to-back Dragon Claws. But despite only getting up to 29-17, Poliwrath's still able to tank a Dragon Claw there, so we will have to shield up the second one here as we see a Garchomp safe swap in. Now, I don't know if that was a safe swap or not, because this Icy Wind is 4 times effective. It's still 4 times effective to Dragonite, but at least maybe they're ABA weak. So, gonna get this next Icy Wind off and outpace. Again, Poliwrath coming in clutch as we're getting the first shield from the Garchomp here, because we will win switch. So I'm okay having an even shield scenarios here versus 2 dragons. So we're going to come in with Swampert again being double debuff. We still don't want to risk them having Earth Power, right? So they got Dragon Tail, so probably just going to be a Sand Tomb. Just calling it correctly there. We're just going to throw the Hydro Cannon there. We don't want to take an Outrage, right? So we don't want to use our last shield because they did drop our defense, getting that Garchomp out of there, immediately swapping into the Metagross, catching the Dragonite off guard, getting this Meteor Mash off. So I don't think they're going to reach a Dragon Claw. No, they are not. We just have to see what is in the back, and it is just an opposing Metagross, which we are ahead on energy of. So they have to shield stuff some Swampert, but they will have to shield its Earthquake as well, as it's super effective. Do they respect the damage? They do not. And we're not quite able to farm down, but we can let this go through. Let them throw their Earthquake. We can just come in and farm down with Swampert, but they bait us as well. And we're able to close strong with Metagross again. Hopping into the main event, we see another great lead, a Togekiss. However, we are going to see a safe swap into Gary, and same game plan as before. We just have to chip this and dip this. The Meteor Mash is resisted, but at least it will get Gyarados into a health range that Poliwrath can manage. I mean, the Dragon Breaths are still kind of shredding, but Gyarados is only going to be able to throw resisted charge moves at us. The Aqua Tails and the Crunches both resisted up against the Water and Fighting type. We get to that Icy Wind and make these Dragon Breaths do less and less as well. So our bulk, and we're not getting a shield from the Gyarados either, so we can let this go as well. Gyarados opting to try for the Crunch debuff this time, but not successful, and we are able to resist, counter, farm down the Gyarados, and leave with an Icy Wind for the Togekiss. So yeah, Poliwrath proving its worth here. Having that Icy Wind debuff on the swap is clutch again, in case we have, you know, Flamethrower or Sphere thrown at us. It's going to do less and less, even though it's not stab. We just, the chance that we can debuff the attack as much as possible is good. So a Garchomp comes in here on Mud Shot, which moves they get to moves a little bit quicker. So we can just chip this and dip this as well. Catching something on Swampert here because they're on Mud Shot is probably going to be an Earth Power. But no defense drop on that as well. And we can just go straight for our nuke as well. Getting there just before this CMP tie, the Garchomp might have to shield this. And it does. So now we got 2 shields. We can shield up this Swampert and again just chip this Garchomp as much as possible. But the opponent trying to read us like a book, thinking that we're going to throw the Earthquake, but I'm not that stupid. Opponent, we read you like a book. Throwing that Hydro Cannon at the Togekiss. Are we able to make the next one? Yes, we are. So reading ahead on the opponent what you think they're going to throw, able to take care of that Togekiss, swapping into the Metagross just in case we have to catch a move. So is this the Earth Power? They actually go Outrage, so we survive. If that was Earth Power, this might have been over. Do we outpace? Yes, we do. So again, Metagross versus Garchomp, not a terrible match at all. Taking care of that Garchomp and Metagross closing strong once again. And I just wanted to mention, as you saw, I was running Hydro Pump, but you should be running Scald. It does the same job but less energy, plus the attack potential. I just wanted to see what the nuke could do for us in Masters. But Poliwrath did pretty well for me in the Master League Premier Cup. It's even kind of viable in Open Masters. It's still bulky enough to hang out with the Dragons and Togekiss. And all the buffs it had in the last couple seasons, it definitely makes it an underdog. If you're enjoying the content, leave a comment and tell me what you think. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn notifications on. It really helps me out, keeps me in the algorithm, and lets you know when I post, because there will be much more Pokemon Go content to come. But that's all I've got for today, guys. Thank you again, everyone, so much for watching. I've been ArborAndy. Keep your sticks on the ice, and I'll see you buds in the next one.